Hi guys, I understand that media outlets like the BBC need to interview Conservative MPs because, well, they are the official opposition. But they should be treated like arsonists turning up at a forest fire to give advice on how to work the extinguishers. Now, Helen Whatley, the Shadow Work and Pension Secretary here, was interviewed by BBC Breakfast where she pushed this plan that the Conservatives had to convince the government to impose greater cuts, it seems, more cost savings, as they describe it, to the benefits bill. Now, if the government don't go along with that, then it's likely they will not have Tory support in the House of Commons. Have a listen to this.
That it can be hard for people with disabilities to get into work. Actually, it's one of the problems with the legislation that the government's bringing forward next week and is clearly struggling to get its MPs to support, is because that doesn't include in it any extra support to help people with disabilities get into work. It just takes away benefits. And actually, that's one of the things that we've said to Keir Starmer that he needs to fix. So we have said to him, because we know it's really important for us to make savings in our welfare bill. That bill is going up to around 100 billion by the end of this decade. It's also really important to get more people into work. And we're seeing 2,000 people a day sign on to sickness benefits. People who, like Kaylee may well actually want to be in work but are struggling to do that. We've made an offer to Keir Starmer, which is that if he commits to three things: firstly, to properly reducing the welfare bill; secondly, to getting more people into work; and thirdly, to not put up taxes in the autumn, then he would have our support to make welfare savings, because it's really important to make those welfare savings and get people into work.
Okay, so first of all, it seems that at the time of the recording of this, the Labour leadership have reached out to backbenchers and perhaps come up with a compromise to avoid the embarrassment next Tuesday where there is a vote taking place on this. So it seems that maybe these changes, these reforms have been kicked into the long grass. They will happen next year as opposed to now. Some of them anyway, but we'll have to wait for more detail. Now, it's interesting that the Conservatives are saying what you need to do is you need to reduce the bill, force more people into work, and don't increase taxes. And if you do that, then you have our support. Okay, but how would that work? Reduce the bill. Why is the bill so high? Well, so many people are on some sort of support because they can't access work. Why can they not access work? Because they're sick. Why are they sick? Why are they claiming sickness? Because they're waiting for treatment. Why are they waiting for treatment? Because the NHS waiting list is so high. And why is the NHS waiting list so high? Because the Conservatives, when in power, refused to invest properly in the NHS. So the Conservatives are saying you need to reduce the benefits bill, but you created this problem. Now, they've yet to come out and apologise for that, and I don't think they ever will. But they're saying to the government, you need to reduce and undo the damage that we created. Because if the NHS was functioning properly, people wouldn't have to wait months, even potentially years for treatment. They would be able to get the treatment they need and be able to go back into work. Now, PIP is a separate thing. The Conservatives are like, we need to push people into jobs. But PIP is not work-related. It's not a work-related benefit. It's a support for people who are disabled, irrespective whether they're working or not. But the Conservatives' line is we need to force people into jobs. What jobs? And what about people who are already working? Remember, many people who are disabled are working thanks to initiatives like PIP. So what do the Conservatives want? I think it's, once again, this sitting on the sidelines sniping, saying you should be doing it our way. We created this disaster. We're not going to own up to it, but we want you to fix it. And you're not fixing it right. Like the analogy of the arsonists at the forest fire trying to explain to people how to work the extinguishers. These people should be nowhere near the levers of power. They were in charge for 14 years. They cut the NHS. They made it unworkable. And now they're complaining that so many people are on benefits. The UK is an outlier when it comes to people returning to work after the pandemic. Most countries in Europe saw most of their workers get back to their employment. Why is it the case in the UK? Because the NHS has been run into the ground. And who was it run into the ground by? People like this. So they first have to take responsibility, which of course they won't. And then they can come up with solutions. But unfortunately, their solutions is, of course, more austerity. And that's going to be detrimental to bringing down the benefits bill if that's what you truly care about, and getting people back into work. But once again, so many people are working thanks to this support they receive from the DWP. The Tory approach to this is completely arseways. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.